What is going on, everybody? Hola to all mi amigos aquí en Mexico. So I had this idea. I wanted to go and find it kind of came from the Beetle video, the FYI series. Today, we're going to be looking for a car that just doesn't belong in Forza. Obviously, anything Aston Martin is probably going to be fine. Anything Audi is going to be fine. Anything Auto Union, I've actually never heard of them, and it's kind of crazy. Bach makes great stuff. Bentley, BMW, all these car makers make sense. Like, of course, you're going to have these in a racing game. It is a racing game. Bugatti, of course. But as you probably saw, what I started on didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Now, AMC has some pretty sweet stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like the Javelin, wicked car. The Rebel, wicked car. The Pacer, not so wicked. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in it real quick. I don't really need to buy it because it looks like I already own it. But we're going to cut to me driving, and I'm going to explain to you about that car and why it belongs in the game. Alright, so here we are with the glorious AMC Pacer. Now, this is not the original AMC Pacer. It's a couple generations in, but you know what? That's okay. Why is this ugly little car in Forza? It doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be here, and it doesn't belong, right? Yeah, kind of yes and no. It's here for the same reason that the Volkswagen bus is here. Now, this is a car that CBS called the ugliest cars ever made. CNN Money called it one of the nerdiest cars ever made. I mean, this thing is all the horrible words you can give it and more. It was designed in the 70s, right? And basically, it was designed to be like futuristic. So this car was, in its time, supposed to look like space exploration, like ultra cool, ultra fast. But it wasn't supposed to be fast. It was designed to be economical. It was designed to have a small engine, but it was also one of the widest cars, so it handled like a boat in very like Cadillac style. This thing was comfortable and economical all at the same time. AMC was a legitimate company back then, unlike now, and it has been in a while. And they were making really cool cars. When it came out, this car was considered to be very futuristic and very sought after. In fact, the rear windows and the fact that you could see everything made it really interesting to drive. People liked the fact that it was like a fishbowl, to say. Another thing to note about the AMC is that it didn't age well. In fact, nowadays, you and I probably think of this car and think, wow, what an ugly, hideous thing to come out of the 70s. Why would AMC, the company that makes such wicked, awesome muscle cars, make something like this? Yeah, it's a great question and one worthy of asking. Oops. But I think what they were going for was like this future, kind of like the future is small engines. The future is big windows and interesting. But it didn't pan out, and the AMC was actually so futuristic for its time that they made an electric version of this during the fuel crisis of the time. Believe that. I mean, that is back in the 70s, late 70s, but 70s still nonetheless, an electric car made by a company that was making a lot of cars. That's very, very futuristic, but why did it not pan out? Especially considering this is the car from Wayne's World. Seriously, check it out. Go watch Wayne's World, come back, and realize, holy cow, that's the AMC Pacer. What happened? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So check this out. The car that is actually featured in the game is the X package right here, right? Pretty simple, but this is what cracks me up. All it really had that made it different from anything else was vinyl bucket seats, sports steering wheel, and custom trim, as well as a floor-mounted gear shift and front sway bar. They did nothing to the motor or the exhaust or anything like that. Oh, and styled road wheels and decals. So pretty much they made it look fancy and then put the shifter on the floor for people. In Mexico, these cars were actually called luxury cars, believe that or not. This is pretty crazy. The VAM versions came with different engines, interiors, and other components because the vehicles made in Mexico had to have at least 60% locally sourced parts. The engine was AMC design, but modified and built by VAM, a unique to Mexico engine, 282 cubic air, 4.6 liters. Holy mackerel, that's huge. I thought that was small. To muscle cars, that's small, but in our current time, 4.6 liters is massive. An I6, so an inline 6 engine was standard and it was designed to cope with low-octane fuel and high altitudes. Yeah, that makes sense. Mexico does have both those things. This engine featured dished pistons, which is the exact opposite of what we like now. We like domed pistons. With blah 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 blah, you bore and stroke. The V8 engine, 4-speed transmission. What the heck? So this car, what happened to this car? Why did it go away? In 1976, the Pacer was driven by Gordon Olson and Bob Stone in the 1976. In 1975, Score Baja 1000, which is a hardcore race, pro class race. Wow, that's actually really impressive, and finished 6th. That's a big deal because that is a really tough race to even finish, let alone compete in. With high rates of dropouts in it. So you can check all this stuff out on Wikipedia, but if I see anything interesting, I'll definitely include it here. Collectability. This is the exact reason this car is in the game right here. Collectability. This car has become a collecting monster. It can go from anything from $2,000 to $20,000. A V8 AMC Pacer goes for almost $40,000, $36,900. I know there's a couple. It's not almost. It goes for $37,000 for a V8 AMC Pacer. So yeah, these cars are very collectible and very sought after if that's the price. It's also something I didn't know, but in the animated film Cars 2, yeah, blah 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 blah, are based on the AMC Pacer. That's pretty cool. I'll go ahead and highlight that. The Cars 2 actually had something that was based on this. I had no idea. So what happened to the AMC Pacer? Well, a couple of things. One, AMC went away because it was no longer a company. So if you can't be a company, you can't make the car anymore. And two, it got kind of ugly. Look at it. It's very round. It's very bulbous and jelly beany, as it's been called. And the cars of the 80s and early 90s had almost none of these things. So it got out-designed by its own darn, what then was considered a very good and creative design. So it got pushed to the wayside. Even if AMC were still around and still a company, I very seriously doubt that they would make the Pacer, at least in this form. Now, what's crazy about this car is what AMC did with it. They didn't just throw a small 4-cylinder engine in it. They threw that all the way up to big V8s in this thing, and it ran really, really well, as I've previously mentioned. So if you think that what is this car doing in Forza, remember, this thing ran the Baja. This thing is an absolute monster. Yes, it has 37% windows, and it's ugly, and it doesn't really make any sense, but this thing, I imagine, back in its day, was quite a sleeper car. You could pull up to a parking lot or a drive-in or whatever it may be and just light up the roads and just scare people all out. They think, I've got my Ford Mustang or my Chevelle. I'll be totally fine. No, this AMC Pacer was a monster on the streets. It had an actual motorsports pedigree to it, and check it out. I mean, if you get over the fact that, yes, it looks really odd, it's really wide, so yes, it could handle well. It has all these weird little swoops, and it's quirky, it's different. So, should the AMC Pacer be in Forza? I think so. I think any car from AMC, considering it's an American car company that is no longer around, which is automatically interesting in the first place. I mean, most car companies in other countries typically stick around for a lot longer than some of the ones in the early 60s, 70s did in America. I mean, we lost a lot of car companies. So I think just being that it is from AMC makes it worthy of the Forza games. But also the fact that this car, back in its day, wasn't just one set thing. It was a race car. It was an economy car. It was a car for grandmas, dentists. It was a car for teenagers. It was a car for midlife crisis old men that couldn't figure out how to spend their money on anything. They didn't have the money for a Corvette, but they had the money for an AMC Pacer with a big freaking V8 in it. So the AMC Pacer, I think, has earned its place in the Forza repertoire, even if it does look really, really weird. Now, remember, this is the car in Wayne's World, an introductory scene where they popped in the tape and listened to Bohemian Rhapsody. If that's not enough for you to turn around and say, yeah, this car deserves it, I don't know what is. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. If you like this idea of kind of going down like cars that don't seem to make sense, let me know in the comments below. If not, let me know in the comments below, and I'll stop doing it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, all that stuff, all the blah, 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 blahs, and have a great day.